attendance rate of music festivals is at an all-time high, with the rate of around 32 million people attending at least one event a year. But what exactly is making people prefer music festivals over concerts?
I think people are most excited to really be attending music festivals because it's an opportunity for not only for them to see that one person that they would go see if they maybe there's an opener at a general concert that they go to, but really a music festival is more of an all-encompassing experience. So you're going, and there's definitely gonna be the artists that you're like, I know these artists, I'm gonna go see them perform, I'm so excited, but you could really be walking from one stage to the next and discover who you're gonna have streaming on your Spotify playlist for the next 2 years. So it's about discovery, it's about new experiences. Sponsors and our partners bring forth a lot of different experiences for our attendees. It's about meeting new people and just really having a full weekend where you can kind of escape reality and just be engulfed into a festival community and a musical atmosphere.
When people are enjoying themselves and making memories to last them a lifetime, do they ever stop and think of all the hard work that goes into putting together these events? There are various aspects that go into organizing a music festival, which when put together effectively can contribute to an enjoyable experience for festival goers and success in the music industry. A music festival is an event that brings a large amount of artists and people together, typically in an outdoor setting, geared to experience new music, meet other like-minded people, and have an experience they will remember for years down the road. Although the actual term festival first came up in the English language mid-16th century, deriving from the word feast, music festivals as we currently know them in the Western world can be traced as far as the 1950s, with the first ever music festival in 1952, the Newport Jazz Festival, located in Rhode Island. This festival had a very small attendance rate compared to the attendance size of the 2000s, at a high of 13,000 people, all there to see performances by Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, and Dizzy Gillespie. Various other festivals occurred over time, but the first music festival to truly resemble the music festival's experience in the 21st century occurred in California in 1967 at the Monterey Pop Festival, with a reported 25 to 90,000 people in attendance. This festival launched the career of music legend Janis Joplin and brought exposure to artists such as The Who, and was actually the music festival where one of the most celebrated moments in rock history occurred, Jimi Hendrix setting his guitar on fire. Over the years, iconic music festivals such as Woodstock, Coachella, Afropunk, Made in America, Tomorrowland, Bonnaroo, and Firefly came to the surface, and most are still occurring annually to continue the music festival experience that has been loved for more than 50 years. As time has passed, music festivals have continued to occur and evolve into the multi-day, camp-filled music festivals of the 21st century. When it comes to the goal of music festivals, they are universal.
Depends from what point you're evaluating that. If you are the promoter of it, the goal is to make some money, as well as to share music with whatever community you are doing your event in. If you're an artist, of course, it's a different perspective. It's that you want to be heard and you want to be known by more people and ultimately rise to a different level of publicity. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think if you're a sponsor, you're trying to get your brand in front of a lot of people. I mean, I really do think that it depends on who you ask in that situation. But, you know, the overall goal is to get a ton of music lovers together to enjoy, you know, a multitude of acts that they like, not just for one band, basically.
The process of organizing a music festival can be split into various sections such as location planning, talent finding, sponsor search, marketing and advertising, and lastly, technology. The general cost in putting together a festival can range depending on the size and location of the festival. The components that will contribute to cost in determining a budget for the festival are insurance plans, production costs, artist pricing, vendor costs, and security.
The things you'd have to, really think through in order to figure out if you can have a festival. What's your talent budget? If you want 30 artists, depending on the size and scope, some of our top artists we've paid upwards of $2 million for. And then our lower level artists, sometimes we pay $1,000 for. So depending on the amount of artists and the amount that each are going to cost, you have to consider that a huge bucket. And also along with the artists comes, a lot of times they have riders where you have to not only pay them the cost in the agreement, but then fulfill their rider, which sometimes can just be a case of Red Bull. So looking into those additional things for costs of artists is really important. Then you have your venue costs. For any large scale event, you're going to have insurance costs, vendor costs such as fencing, tables, tents, production and staging costs and audio and additional things that come along with safety, like security guards, police officers, and all of that. So really the operational buckets are huge. So when you have operations plus talent, there's really a large amount of things to consider for the budget.
The first step in the process of organizing a music festival is finding a suitable and essentially perfect location for the festival to take place. When finding a location, many things should be put into consideration, such as accessibility and weather.
The perfect location for a music festival really depends on the goals of the festival. So for Firefly Music Festival, for example, when we set out to launch that event, we knew we wanted to have a massive 4-day festival where people could come and camp. So we were looking for some sort of large property, 300, 400, 500 acres that could accommodate upwards of 60,000 campers, plus have a huge festival area. Other festivals might want to be in the middle of a city center. So they might look at a large basketball or baseball stadium and say, hey, this might be perfect. We can put up 2 stages and use these parking lots for where the stages are going to be. And, obviously if it's in a city center, a lot of people that are coming would just, come in for the day, go home. The goals of the music festival and what type of festival they want to be to really pinpoint their perfect location.
After finding a suitable location to hold a festival comes finding sponsors to assist with funding for the expenses that must be paid. Sponsors must be a good fit for the festival and be able to blend with the theme and overall experience the festival is trying to provide.
Finding sponsors is what I call dialing for dollars. So look at who comes to, and I'm going to go back to what we do, which is the Ladybug Festival. So when I look at that and I look at the demographic of who comes out to that festival, I try and then go back and say, well, who would be best served by being in front of those people? What are the businesses, what are the industries that would be interested in that population of people? So based on that, I will send my sponsorship package to just about anybody who's willing to listen to it.
After finding a suitable location and sponsors comes finding talent and performers that fit the festival's theme and bring in as many festival attendees as possible for the intended audience. Performers must relate to what kind of festival is being put together. Indie artists for a more alternative festival, or a variety of genres for a festival fit to bring in people of all ages and backgrounds.
That is based on, first of all, how much money do you have to spend? What's your budget?
How many people are you trying to attract out? What type of people are you trying to attract out? Right. I think that so much depends on music within music festivals, and that's a big one. In the traditional music festival, so like a Firefly, they're going to have a variety of headliners. They're going to have a headliner to satisfy each of their big customers. So they know they have customers that are 50 to 70. They're going to have a headliner like a Bob Dylan, like Paul McCartney, to satisfy that group. And they're also going to have headliners that are kind of like in the EDM world. They're going to have headliners that are going to be much more appealing to those 17 to 19-year-old kids. It's very targeted. They're looking at making sure that every group of people that comes to their festival has somebody to be excited about, has someone to be really amped about. For us, again, our event, totally different, is more about helping and finding artists that are emerging artists that are trying to build their fan base and trying to just have exposure to a lot of people and giving them the best possible opportunities that we can. So we try and have a really, our festival specifically, we look for as diverse of a lineup as possible with genres. So, we want to make sure we have country, folk, rock and roll, everything. We want to have everything covered. And we want a good mix between artists that have a good draw in our area, so people that there will be some excitement, but we also love that we're in a position where we can deliver an artist, in front of thousands of people that absolutely has never played in Wilmington. Nobody that's attending our event has ever heard their name before.
Once the festival is all set up, it is time to pick and choose the best marketing and advertising techniques, such as radio commercials, social media pages, or newspaper advertisements to bring in maximum exposure, revenue, and ticket sales.
There's a lot of digital, a lot of social that we're putting efforts into. There's a lot of different strategies that we use to really pinpoint the people that we're targeting and making sure that, if we have Kendrick Lamar on the lineup or Beyonce, and we know 95% of the people coming from our festival are located east of the Mississippi River. There's a lot of specific targeting that we can do with the digital agencies that we work with to make sure that we're reaching the correct people there. So we do a lot of digital, a lot of social, a lot of PR efforts to make sure that if you're reading Billboard magazine or People magazine, you might come across something on Firefly. We also are doing a lot of influencer marketing. So looking at different people on Instagram or Facebook or have a blog or whatever that type of outlet is, and really working with them to promote organically to their audience about coming to Firefly. We do a ton with different radio stations in the markets that we work closely with, just doing ticket giveaways and that sort of thing, which is a market that our festival pulls from a lot. Us on Facebook, but now when you're walking to work or commuting home from work or whatever, you're seeing us on a big billboard outside of your work or during your commute.
Technology is an important factor in just about every aspect of organizing a festival. Technology has an impact on the music festival experience as a whole for consumers, the setup that goes along with artists' performances, advertising techniques, security, and more.
The technology end is it's really endless, to be honest. First and foremost, you have your general production of the stages. There's a lot of tech that goes into that these days, especially if you have your electronic artists where there's lasers and different sounds and some things that are even just above my head completely that they are putting into their production these days. A lot of festivals, including us, do live streaming, whether it's an online live streaming or a direct-to-TV type live stream. And the tech and details behind that is enormous. Additionally, from a safety and marketing standpoint, RFID technology has been pretty popular and is continuing to just show popularity, because with your wristband, we can give you the ability to for us to have a secure festival where if something goes wrong and we find someone is doing something inappropriate within the festival, we can essentially turn their wristband off so they can't get back in. It gives people the opportunity for us to be a cashless music festival, which we were this past year, where you can load things onto your wristband and not have to carry around cash or credit cards. It also just gives the opportunity for us to track a lot more analytics and data about and demographic data about who our attendees are, so we can then know how to market better. So between RFID technology, the general production, and live streaming, I'd say those are the big three ones.
Music festival can have various effects on the music industry, mostly to the artists big and small who perform at the festivals and their careers. These effects can be interpreted as negative or positive depending on a personal point of view.
I think if you're a younger performer, if you're a newer band, being signed to play one of these festivals is a pretty big deal, because the idea is that you're going to be performing in front of a diverse crowd. Not necessarily, all those people won't necessarily know who you are yet, so it can be a really good broad exposure setting for a newer artist.
Big corporate festivals, more of a negative, I think, than a positive, to be honest with you. I think, again, what this industry needs right now is just more work for more artists. Not the thing with the corporate festivals is they're all kind of vying for the same pool of about 150 to 200 artists, and then there's millions and millions of artists that are paying into it to be considered for a spot, but never getting considered, never getting that opportunity most of the time.
There are various aspects that go into organizing and putting together a successful event. When put together effectively, music festivals can contribute to a life-changing experience and success for the artists performing for the festivals. Music festivals have provided many benefits and very few drawbacks for the music industry. They have paved the way for upcoming musicians and for people who have made a living in the field. They have given creative outlets and entertainment to large amounts of people, from artists to simple festival attendees. These festivals have become a breeding ground of endless opportunities for both musicians big and small.